Okay, so read my first book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah, right off the bat, problems. First problem, because I don't read, I was going to say very often, because I don't read at all, really slow for me. So that's one of the reasons I want to start reading more, is so that my speed gets up. The other one being retention of information. So there's a lot in that book. It's not a huge one, but for me, for something starting, it's like 390 pages worth of actual information, ignoring the introductions and all that. A lot of information to go through, and although I got a lot from the book, I know there's a lot that just hasn't sunk in. So it's one of those ones, like, at this stage, I definitely have to read again, or at least skim through it. I don't really want to do like book reviews. Like, I don't want to sit down and tell you what this book's about, what's in it, whether it's good or not. Like, to me, it was definitely good, but I don't want to just sit down and review them. More sort of analyze how it affected me at the time while I was reading it, and what it's done, what I feel has changed, and also what needs to be done. So for a book like this is all about being proactive. There's stuff I need to do now to actually let that information from the book sink in and become a part of me. So as it's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's all about changing your paradigms, changing the things that are intrinsic in your personality, like who you are. And those are things that are not instant changes. It's not like just because you read these words doesn't mean you're going to flick over. It might give you, like, say for me, going through that book, every time I put it down, I felt energized, felt excited, felt motivation and momentum. But if you don't do anything with that, then it just fizzles off. You wake up the next day and it's all gone. So it's really generalized, but in a good way. Like, everything that was in there, I felt wasn't specific to a particular industry or a particular part of life. A lot of the points in there, a lot of things you gain from it can be applied to friendships, relationships, work, just your general mentality on how you spend your time, how you interact with people. I felt like there was a lot I gained from it, but at the same time, like, literally only just finished it. Now I need to sit down and start, hopefully sit down and start actually bringing some of those things into being. So things like actually sitting down and writing out my goals, sitting down and looking at what types of people I have in my life, how I already interact with them, and how I can adjust that. Another good thing about this book in terms of interacting with people, it wasn't about the idea of deception or deceiving people. It was about genuinely paying interest and how you go about showing that you're interested in what someone has to say, and that applies to business and to relationships. So I'm quite excited to get onto it. But yeah, as I said, like, for me, tough read, not because of the words, but because of the size of it and because of my speed. So I spent a good week on it, but that's a lot of time. I don't know, I could easily have spent sort of 2-3 hours a day reading, which was painful for me. But again, the whole reason I'm doing this is to actually be doing, not just saying, oh, I should do this, should do that. I decided this was going to be the first one I read because I've got a bunch of other friends that have read it or are reading it as well, and I thought at the very least that ability to talk about something I read in there with someone else that also read it, that's something that might actually help keep that information fresh in my head, and make me more likely to use it. So I think it's I was thinking of, like I said, not doing reviews on the books, maybe thinking more about what kind of person would this book be good for, because I'm not just going to be reading, these self-help books. I'm going to be reading a bunch of other things. But for this one, I think because it's so generalized, but also the information is very useful and works across the board. It's, I'm not going to sit there and go, everyone should read this, but really it's useful to pretty much everyone. Whether it's down to work and dealing with people higher up than you, learning how to put out your strong points, giving people the opportunity to actually get to know you, business and friendship-wise. That's a large thing today with technology and social media and things like that. It's so easy for people to connect and communicate with someone that now there's so much more things for people to shut out, So it's about things like standing out from other people. What can you do to be different? But the key thing is about changing how you think and how you see things. A large part of that is about your priorities, what you deem to be important, versus what's not actually important. After reading this, I realize I'm one of those people that tends to take the non-important and non-urgent things are the things I tend to focus on. So realistically, I'm getting nothing done. But knowing that you're doing something as opposed to actually understanding why and understanding that you're doing it means it's a lot easier for you to adjust it. So that's going to be one of the first things I do. There's something I thought I'd mentioned in this, the habit number 5, so it's the 7 habits. Habit number 5 is to do with understanding before trying to be understood. And in general, I'm a person, I like to listen. People have always, ever since I was young, people would come to me for advice about things, even if I didn't know anything about it. And I think simply because I do like to listen. But I've noticed as I've gotten older, I've developed this necessity to defend myself before I need to, or justify things that I say. And my memory's not that great because I don't use it. So quite often I'll be interrupting people just because I don't want to lose that thought, and I feel it's important. So one thing I got from this yesterday, actually implemented it. Caught myself up when I was starting to interrupt. I still interrupted a bit. That's my initial habit. So your habits don't change overnight. They take time for you to tweak and refine them and fix them how you want to. But I hope she doesn't mind me saying this, but I had a really good conversation with my girlfriend last night, and a lot of it was just me remembering a few things from what I'd read as they were happening, pulling myself up on what I was doing. So at the start, I was still interrupting a bit and then going, no, it's not my point of view that's important right now. It's more important for me to understand what's going on that side before I try and put my side across, And we ended up talking for about 3.5 hours, which is like the best, most genuine conversation we've had for a long time, and it was real easy and it was real honest. A lot of things got said that should have been said a long time ago, and yeah, it was really, really good. Like I felt really good afterwards. She felt really good. Really happy with how that worked out, and so that was a big thing for me. Like instantly being able to see or have a change actually happen. One of the things I haven't done yet, which this book pushes quite a lot, is the concept of teaching things. So when you learn something, or when you read something, or when you find something out, tell someone else or teach someone else, or at least talk about it, because that's a different way that information is going into your head. But also the act of trying to explain it to someone means you have to put it in your words, unless you can remember it word for word, which is not with that many words. That's not going to happen for me anyway. But the act of explaining it in your way helps it sink in a bit more, So I wasn't sure where I was going to go with this really. I don't want to pre-script these. I just want to sit down and talk about something. So I really enjoyed this book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, my next step is to try and take some of these concepts from a book and actually implement them. So as I'm doing that, I'll record that and let you guys see what's happening there. There's a bunch of other books I want to read. I've got a bunch of videos and stuff that I'm wanting to watch as well. Yeah, so if any of you guys have read this book and have any comments or any suggestions, or if you guys want me to talk a little bit more about the book, which I think is good for me in terms of helping me remember stuff more and actually imprinting it more, let me know. But I think for now that's probably good. I feel a great sense of achievement because I finished a book. I think the last book I actually read was The Da Vinci Code, before the whole movie came out and everything, like when it was quite early on the bookshelves. And actually I did manage to finish that, but it took me a long time. I had a similar problem to what I had with the 7 Habits, is that if I can't read a book in a whole day, which I can't, but coming back to that book, I have to skip, like the next day, I have to skip back 3 or 4 or 5 pages to actually get back to where I was, because I will have forgotten most of that information. So I probably actually read a good 50% more than I need to, just because I'm trying to refresh my head and know what's going on. I think most of it, I retain most of it, but we'll see how we go with that. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'm sure these little videos will get a little bit more succinct, to the point, and a bit shorter, and I'll be able to put it all across a bit better as we go along. But if you managed to watch it for this long, thanks. Yeah, follow, like, subscribe, show us some support, and yeah, one step closer to being better.